everybody. Welcome to episode one of the Noir Note. Today, we're talking with Miracle. Miracle, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi everyone, my name is Miracle. I am the creator of R.A.W and R.A.W, also known as H&O on Webtoon Canvas. My creator name is also Miracle's Art.
So, how do you think you've succeeded on Webtoon Canvas for so long? Because so many people, like myself, I have to put myself out there right now, either drop their series or go on a long hiatus. So, how do you keep yourself consistent?
That's a good question. My readers, the people have kept me coming back. If they didn't love it, I would keep it to myself. But they're showing that they want to see more. They want to know what happens next. And that keeps me going. I'm a creator that does not shy away from the comment section. That is literally my motivation. I love seeing their reactions. I love seeing what they might be confused about, maybe what they didn't like about it. It helps me become a better writer and how to illustrate better so everyone can enjoy and learn something from the message that I'm trying to illustrate with R.A.W. So I wouldn't necessarily think of myself as successful. I think the success is in that I have truly found that I love doing this and that I can see myself doing this until God calls me home. And, I think it'll be my life dream to be able to live off my artwork. But even with what I have been able to make and the recognition and collaborating with other creators, like it is, I have to go back to like, how did I get to this point? But, if I had stopped, I wouldn't have gotten to where I am today.
Right.
And with over 100, subscribers and, so many views, this is something that is something to be proud of. Like I'm not shying away from what I have accomplished, because it is definitely something that keeps me going every day. And I look forward to continue drawing it every single day.
Yeah, and you've accomplished a lot. Like you said, you have over 100,000 subscribers, over 1 million views. I think like almost 8 million views. Let me pull it up real quick. Like this is nothing to scoff about. You've been putting in the work and receiving the accolades, and it is justly deserved. And one thing I want to touch on is Black History Month and Black representation on Webtoon, because we've seen you featured in some of those lists that they include during the month. So I wanted to ask, how have you seen the platform change in terms of Black representation? Because you do have a story, both of your stories center around Black characters.
I'll be honest with you, Webtoon, with the tragedy of George Floyd, that was when I realized, that's when I noticed the immediate change of media across the board raising Black voices. It just brought more awareness to something that big companies didn't really pay attention to until that happened. And I noticed, because I came in 2018, and I forgive me, I think George Floyd passed away 2020. The years prior to that, we never had a Black creator banner. When he was killed, then that's when I saw all media, including Webtoon, they hopped in on that as well, and they started promoting Black creators, and now it's become a thing where they do it for all ethnicities on the platform. And I think that was an amazing thing for them to do. Why did it have to take someone's death to get there? I don't have an answer for that, but it has been something I have to definitely acknowledge. If that did not happen, I don't think I would have been seen the way I have been seen. And for Webtoon, it's a predominantly Asian platform. It is an Asian platform. For me as a Black creator, I remember when I started, I was worried to draw a little character of myself, because I thought maybe they may not want to see that the person behind this is Black. They may not like it. And I decided to, like, you know what? No, I'm going to represent me and what I've grown up with and around, and I put myself out there, and it goes back to like I have been overly welcomed and accepted, and it keeps me going. It keeps me happy to show more diversity with not only Black but Hispanic, um, um, Middle Eastern, Islanders, and even representations of what's the right word for it? Albinism, like albino individuals, and we haven't even got to that point just yet. But these are things I want everyone to see themselves in my story, because it is a predominantly Asian platform, so you're mostly going to see that traditional default look in Asian media. But Black representation has definitely come up since that incident back in 2020, and I think that Webtoon, they're doing good enough, and there's always room to grow. I can't really think of where they can improve, but I'm grateful that they've at least made the moves to get more voices seen on the platform.
Yeah, that really is wonderful, because I remember back, we created our own Black History Month celebration where we got Black creators together and shared our works and made a whole illustration to kind of propel our voices and show like we're here, because we knew there were Black people on the platform who wanted to see Black characters and Black creators.
Yep.
And it was just difficult to find those stories. So now Webtoon has made it somewhat easier, or at least taken more of an effort to promote Black voices and Black creators and stories centered around Black characters. So it is interesting seeing how things have shifted. And I agree with you. I do think they're doing good. They can definitely improve, but it's just going to take time. You know, more Black creators coming onto the platform, sharing their stuff, and either deciding to become original creators or becoming independent artists, which I always support. I love that for anybody who it works out for, but of course we know that's not always an option. So, moving on to your webcomics, R.A.W. and H&O, I'd say that they're examples of like Black horror, or maybe more appropriately BIPOC horror, since it's not just Black characters, but like you said, your work is very diverse. So, what draws you to the horror genre?
For me, I had to really think about this, because I always say that I've been drawn to serious media. I've never really found entertainment from comedy. I'm not funny, so I don't really know how to illustrate that, but life is very serious, and I like to illustrate with a message. So for me to bring out a message that I'm creating with a story, I don't see me doing any justice to something that's so serious with a light note, creating it with a very light-hearted note. I don't like to sugarcoat things. I like to show it as it is, and the severity that I'm trying to get you to realize something with what you're reading. And it's scary. Raw is definitely more so real life, realistic. There are some things that are overly exaggerated, and that's just me kind of getting out, adventuring with what I can do art-wise, but it is based on real life experiences. Like nothing exactly that has happened, but like real life, people can relate to that in the real world. And H&O is more so just dark fantasy, but it is definitely both stories have their own connected similarities. And for me, I like to dabble in something that's a category not many people go to. I see so many stories with so many different. They're basically the same thing, but with a different base to it, or a different reading to it. And I like to go somewhere that other people haven't tried. And fortunately, I haven't been kicked off the platform for it. Raw is crime mystery. It hasn't gotten to a scary point yet until we dive more into the trauma aspect for both characters, Ark and Alona, because there's a lot more to that that the story needs to get into. And H&O just doesn't hesitate. You're going to see the horror, you're going to see the gore, you're going to see a lot of stuff. And but even with that going off the rails that it is, there's a reason behind that. And as the story comes out, you'll see, the connection between why things are going the way they are in that story, whereas Raw it's a lot of family trauma, it's a lot of healing, and I love romance. And personally, I have always believed that the strongest form of love is created from shared trauma. And I know that's something that people don't really want to look at, and it can be very triggering, but I think it can be beautiful when you can find someone that understands something that deeply hurts you, or a place that you've come from, scars and wounds from the past, and someone can look at you and say, I see you and I know what this is like. And I think that's beautiful that you can find that person you can heal with and, fall in love with.
I think the way you frame it is really nice because I do think people have an issue with like trauma bonding in romances where it feels more forced than natural. I think the way that you explore it within Raw is very natural, very tasteful. So I don't think you should have any fears about that. The approach, very well done. I think you're very thoughtful in what you're doing, as you explained. You want to talk about, or you want to explore the family trauma, these issues that these characters have. It's not sensationalized. It's not, well, I need to do it for the plot. Of course, it needs to be done for the plot, but these are like the experiences of your characters. These are their stories, and you're exploring it as naturally and realistically as you want and can. And I think you're doing very well. So if you have any fears, have them no more. Okay, no more fears. You're doing great. And you kind of touched on my next question a little bit, where we were talking about trauma. And so I think often when we think about Black horror, we think about it being explored in the way that Black people try to examine their trauma on a historic level. Do you think that Raw does that in a way, or like explores more so generational trauma?
Most definitely, Raw does explore that. H&O not so much, because again, it is more so fantasy, but focusing on Raw solely. As we get more into that story, I also want to go into the grandmother, Sweetie, how the family became as what was the how it's a blended family, how the elders of the family, the three grandmothers, came together and they brought their kids together, and how that started during segregation when they were nurses, and how she lost her eyesight from a patient that did not like being cared for by a Black nurse, and things like that. Not to spoil too much of the story, but I want to dabble in with the history there. How did they come from one state to the other, and how the crimes of the times back then led to her adopting two girls that lost their parents due to hate crimes. And that's how she ended up having her two daughters, Vira and Kira. And then she has, her grandchildren that are her adopted daughters' descendants, while she also brought them up with her own kids. And there's more things that we have to learn in the background of what happened with Alona's mom, Alona and Drew's mom, and her husband and son that we haven't even really talked about unless you've seen the family tree. There's a lot of family trauma with Alona's family, and Drew has displayed that with his struggle with alcoholism. Their aunt Kira, who's currently in a rehabilitation center, what happened to her as they were growing up? Why did she end up there? Why is one a successful lawyer, and the other one is in a rehabilitation center? And then the third sister, their mother, Drew and Alona's mom, she's not even living. What all happened in this family to get them to this point? And then there's Ark. He also, we have a lot more to find out with his family, but as far as his ethnicity, he is Middle Eastern, Afghan, and there is a ton of stuff that happened surrounding his birth that it's bringing awareness to topics that I don't know how to explain it, but there's trauma there too. And with what Arc has come from and what Alona has come from, for those two to have formed such a close bond and they don't even know they share something so rare in common, I think it's incredible that Alona truly looked at him without judging him by his cover, without reading his pages first. And as the story goes on, they each find out where their families have come through to get to this point, and it's almost like they're learning to heal with that, knowing where the scars, that the one shows scars and the other one doesn't, but there's something deeper within her that we have to find out. And it's like it's one thing and then there's more things behind it, and I can't wait for that all to like come about, because that's going to be a really a big moment for the story. And how do they heal past that, because it is a romance, but it is what they're going to go through to achieve that and heal through that pain is I think it'll be a beautiful journey for the two of them, and as a whole for their future together.
And now you have me like super excited. We've come a long way in the story over the years, and just to hear how much you have planned. Do you have the entire story planned out, or do you have parts of it figured out?
I wish I had the entire story planned out. I can't say I create as I go, because I do have a lot written out. It's just I'm trying to get everything like organized. I can't even say how many chapters I have so far. I think I have half of the story thought out.
Okay.
If there's a season 1, we're still in season 1, and season 2 is yeah, we got a season 2.
Well, that just shows how expansive this story is. But I think at the center of it, like you've been saying, we've this word has popped up a lot throughout this interview. Healing, healing. Mm-hmm. I think that's what the idea of horror is. There's like a horrific element to it, but at the same time, it's ultimately about healing, about overcoming, I think.
Yes, yeah.
And so that's good. I think that's a very strong theme within your work, like overcoming the hardships of the past and the present for all the characters, because all of it, maybe they don't share the same history, but it's interconnected in the way that they interact with each other. I think that's really beautiful, and I'm excited. We need more. We want more. We want more Raw now.
I can't wait to get to those parts of the story. I'm glad so far it's doing well. It's been received well, so we got a lot. I'm going to keep going.
And so, just to kind of end it off, what advice would you give to anyone who wants to start their webcomic journey?
I would say, I don't want to be cliche with it, but I would say, just go for it. It is something, you don't know what you missed out until you don't try, and you don't want to go back and look at what if. At least you could say you tried and it didn't work out. But, coming from someone that is a minority amongst minorities, and I still went out there and showed myself, and this whole community on Webtoon has accepted me regardless of the color of my skin, and look at where I'm at now. That's something to say that, it doesn't hurt to just try it and just see where it goes. And to be honest with you, if you get on Webtoon, I would not sweat consistency, because I am the least consistent person. But before you get in there, I would definitely say probably give yourself about 3 to 5 buffer. And personally, I wouldn't wait until you have an ending known, because I don't know how my comic is going to end. I know I want it to end good, but, I can't tell you exactly the time, place, the scenery, the background, what that looks like. I just know I hate bad endings, and I love a good ending. So don't worry about knowing your ending. Don't worry about, consistency. Just go for it, and then see what community you can create amongst with the story that you bring out to the people.
I agree. I think those are really valuable lessons for people to take. Miracle, thank you so much. Do you have any final comments? Anything you want to shout out or let people know?
Oh gosh, I didn't think about that part. I want to shout out all my friends in the Webtoon Black Magic server. All my friends that just have helped uplift me, you included, and just give me a community to draw with every day. We can share thoughts off every day because I tell you, it's hard to go at this alone. But when you have a community of friends that are going through this with you, it keeps you motivated, not only with your readers, but now you have people that know what this feels like that can uplift you, and then we're all going through the struggle alone, and just to uplift each other in this community. And I guess to shout out some names: Janae, Edby, who's the creator of LMY, Sacred, who's the creator of Con, you, Ashley, with you're going on to make mini comics, Lavi, Poppy, who's an animator coming out with a movie soon. I hope I didn't miss anyone. Mickey, like, oh gosh, the list goes on and on. Just so many beautiful creators and minds behind it. Marvel, my dear friend Amber, she's just so many words of wisdom. But all of you have helped uplift me through this journey, and I'm grateful to have you all as close friends.
Shout out to all of them. We'll be speaking to some of them in later episodes, so that's exciting to get, a little hint of who we might be talking to. So thank you, Miracle, again so much. We wish you the best in your future endeavors with R.A.W and HNO, and we can't wait to see more from you in the future.
Thank you.